I will tell everybody on this call, you've got to get to 15 personals like as quickly as possible so you can get invited to these this mastermind that I just came back from. Brent Gove was just on fire. Jake Kinder was there. You know, I mean, everybody. I mean, Jeff Willems, Scott Lewis, everybody was just giving a lot of good stuff. So I mean, it was pretty game changing. So I don't even know if I'll be able to get through everything on this one call today. We might have to like take a couple calls to get through it all. So
yeah, man.
But man, there was like 75 people there. It was pretty amazing.
I was gonna ask, 75 people.
75 people, and you know, they broke us out into group into some like breakout rooms. In the, I think about half had about 15 to 25 personals, and then about maybe a third had like 25 to 40, and then there was about 10 people that had 40 plus personal sponsors.
Wow.
So personally sponsored agents. So yeah, it was some good stuff. But cool, guys, welcome, man. All right, good deal. We're getting some people joining. So it's just at the top of the hour, 9 a.m. We'll get started here in about a minute or two. Awesome. Yeah, I took, you know, I'm not usually a note taker, Curtis. Like,
I know that,
like
yeah.
The one pitfall of myself is like, I'm like, oh, I can remember it all. But literally, like, this event made me take notes. Like, I never take notes.
That's awesome.
And this event made me do it. So, but I'm glad that I did. And maybe it was an eye-opening thing for me. So.
Good, man.
All right, let's see. All right, guys. Well, cool. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. Looks like we got quite a bit of people on the call. Welcome, everybody. Hope everyone's having a great Tuesday so far. Let me just change this around here. Perfect. Just wanted to welcome everybody to the Tuesday Mastermind. Today is May 21st, and I am fired up. I don't know if you saw my Facebook Live video just a few minutes ago, but I just got back from the Brent Gove Power Up conference in Las Vegas. That's where I was at over the weekend. So I was there Friday, Saturday, and came back Sunday. And it was an event, a private event for anybody who had 15 or more personally sponsored agents with the company at eXp. And so there was about 75 of us there. And, you know, some of the top people, I mean, basically everybody who's got 40 or more agents was at this conference. There was about 10 of them. And but then, you know, a lot of people with 25 to 40 personals and organizations that have, you know, thousands of agents in it. I think Brent Gove is up to 5,000 agents in his organization. We've got, you know, Scott Lewis is in the thousands. AJ Maida was there. In fact, he was my roommate, so we were staying in the same room. I got a lot of knowledge from him. I think he just hit 1,300 agents in his organization. So lots of big people there. And it was basically a half day Friday, all day Saturday, lots of different speakers. I think we had probably about 10 different speakers and some really good stuff. So, I mean, that's what I want to start this call off with today. I don't want to waste any time. I just want to jump kind of into the notes. And of course, as we have questions, guys, this is the same format as always. You know, if you've got questions, if maybe something that I say like jogged something in your mind, you're like, oh, you know what? Well, I've been doing this, or you know, I'm doing this all wrong, or whatever. Put it in the chat. You know, let's discuss it. I'm just going to start kind of going over some stuff just so that way we can get the dialogue rolling. But anyway, so and I might even have to share my screen because a few of these things are like a visual checklist that I took a picture of. But anyways, the first thing that I thought was so cool was that Brent shared something that he created called the all-in checklist. And I think this was a big aha for a lot of agents there at this conference, you know, because a lot of us, you know, we've been having success, you know, we've got 15 or more personals, we've got, you know, usually organizations of hundreds or thousands of agents. And like, I know myself, I consider myself all in, you know, but then when I really looked at it and I looked at this checklist, I was like, man, I'm not doing everything that, you know, I should be doing to really be all in. Because Brent Gove, he laid down the gauntlet. He said, look, I've been all in. I've been doing every single one of these things for the past 2 years. You know, who else here can say that? So Skip, it's being recorded. We'll send you a copy of it. Yeah, as soon as it's done. So, but yeah, I mean, feel free to record it too separately if you need to. But yeah, we'll be sending it out. I in fact got all of our videos. This is kind of a side note, but I got all of our videos from the past month that we've been doing on these Tuesday calls. I put them into a YouTube playlist. It is private, so that way, you know, nobody can just go to my playlist that's not with eXp and be like, what is, you know, they're all just talking about recruiting. It's private, but if you want it, you can, go to it. I'll share the link with you guys, and you feel free to share it to, other people in your organization, and all that. So it's just unlisted. So you definitely can go to it. It's just not going to show up if you just go to my YouTube channel. You got to have the link. Okay, so the all-in checklist, guys, I'm going to run through it really quickly, and I want everybody to take notes real quick. So get a piece of paper, get a pen, okay, and we're going to make this a little game. We're going to see who gets the highest number, all right, from this game. So once you got a pen and paper, or maybe you're using your notepad on your computer or something like that, let me know. Give me like a 1 in the chat box or something. I just want to make sure people are getting this. Give me a 1 in the chat box. All right, Curtis is ready. Jay's ready. Got some thumbs ups. Perfect. All right, Kate's ready. Bernie's ready. All right, perfect. I'm going to start naming off these. And if you're doing this already, you're currently doing this, you meet this requirement, you're going to give yourself a 1 for that. And we're going to see, I'm going to list out about 15 things. We're going to see who gets the most. All right. You don't have to put the 1 in the chat box. Put it on your piece of paper, because we're going to add them up at the end. All right. I do a lunch and learn at least every 2 weeks. You do a lunch and learn every 2 weeks, meaning you either host it or you're there every 2 weeks. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to bring a guest every 2 weeks, but you are at a lunch and learn every 2 weeks. And if you don't have a lunch and learn in your area, Brent said that's no excuse. You need to be the one creating that lunch and learn in your area. That's the all-in checklist. All right, so that's number 1. I am using a wealth chart by Rob Flick. So if anybody doesn't know what the wealth chart is, you got to watch the video. It's about an hour and a half long. Definitely got to be using a wealth chart. Highly important. So make sure you give yourself a 1 if you got a wealth chart and you're using it, not something you created 4 months ago and haven't looked at. He said this needs to be next to you, literally living and breathing, something you can look at every single day. You're using the wealth chart. You have a dream or vision wall, meaning that you created something that you are looking at, that you're going towards. The reason why you're doing this business is on your vision wall. You've got pictures of your dreams, your goals, what you want for your family, all that kind of stuff. Do you have a list of 100 plus names of real estate agents? A list of names of 100 plus agents, names, phone numbers, emails, all that kind of stuff. You got to have a list of 100 plus names. Do you have designated building time? And he recommended a minimum, and this is going to surprise you guys. He said that a minimum of 3 hours a week. That's all it is. He said, but do you have it designated where you don't miss it? Not, oh, well, I prospect 3 hours a week, like not that. Do you have a time block 3 hours a week? Doesn't have to be at the same time. It could be an hour one day, hour next day. Minimum of 3 hours a day, or 3 hours a week, time blocked for building, prospecting. I have watched the 90-minute Rob Flick video. Okay, so that's, again, if you've got a wealth chart, you should have probably watched that 90-minute Rob Flick video. If you didn't, well, you can watch it, build your wealth chart today, and you get 2 checks right there. I host movie nights with the Rob Flick video. So he says he's actually done this where he'll have people come over, he'll rent out a place, and he'll literally have people come over, watch it for 90 minutes, and make their wealth charts in his organization. He's got 5,000 agents, guys, so he's got lots of people. But he said you don't have to do it with just your organization. We all know people at eXp, like in Team Disruptor, in our market, do it together. They don't all have to be in your alignment, but it's better when people can get together and do this stuff. Host movie nights with the Rob Flick video. That was one I didn't give myself a check on. So, do you have a shareholder ticket? Are you already registered for Orlando? Shareholders, got to have the shareholder ticket. I'm going to his Las Vegas leadership August 20th through the 22nd. So that is another one, and I'll kind of give some details on that one. You might not even know about it yet. But this is a Brent Gove training. It's not sponsored by eXp. It's something separate, just like what this past weekend was for me, but except it's not limited to just 15 or more. He opens this one up to everybody. It's called the Las Vegas Leadership. It's August 20th through the 22nd. It's in Las Vegas. He put that as a checkbox. So if you need details, I'll give them here later on this call. But Las Vegas Leadership, August 20th through 22nd. My wife's going to hate me because I just got back from Vegas. We got Vegas for eXp Con, and then I will be at this Las Vegas Leadership. So 3 times in Vegas. My wife's not going to like it, but that's how all in I am, right? When I know that this stuff is important, you got to be there. Are your leaders coming? So not only are you going to shareholders, but do you have somebody else in your organization, at least one other person coming with you to shareholders? Because we all know that the events create massive momentum. You've got to get other people, not just you. Of course you want to be there, but then make sure if you can be there, you bring a leader with you. And then, is your group coming? Do you have other agents in your group that are coming? So make sure you bring a leader. Curtis Dixon's a leader for me. He is coming, right? I've got other agents in my group, right? We got Tom Tobin. I don't know. I think that I forget if he's making it or not, but we got Mark Lemons, I think is going to be there. We got Rich and Coco August, hopefully will be there. So we got some people in my group that are coming. And then, of course, I'm going to eXpCon 2019, October 4th through the 6th. Do you have that booked? eXpCon 2019, October 4th through the 6th. I am going to the Freedom Summit, Mexico 2020. Who's going to that? It's February, next February. There we go. That's a fun one, guys. Puerto Vallarta. That's where literally I joined eXp in July 2017. I was in Puerto Vallarta January 2018. And I remember that was like my first taste of seeing everybody getting success. I had 8 agents in my organization when I went to that event. I finished the year with 108 agents. That should say something about what I learned when I went to that event. It was training. We had some training 2 days at Puerto Vallarta, but it was a lot of time on the beach too. We were talking to agents. I was talking to, at that time, I think AJ might have had 250 agents. Pat had 500 agents. Now today, Pat's got 1,800 agents. AJ might has got 1,300 agents. So, I mean, it's crazy to see what's happened. And that was the first time we went to Puerto Vallarta. Are you going to Puerto Vallarta this year? There's literally, I think he said about 150 rooms left at the hotel. We're booking the entire place. He had 1,000 rooms. There's 150 left. I'll get you the details on how to sign up for that. Let's see. Do you host local real estate training events? This is not lunch and learns. This is a local real estate training event. I didn't check the box there, but me and Curtis have been working on something like that here in San Antonio. We're going to start hosting local real estate training events. And then last question, do you have local socials planned? Are you doing local socials for your real estate agents? Wanted to give props to one of my agents, Mark Trias, who I just saw on Facebook a few days back. He did a deal at Topgolf. He invited like 10 agents, or he invited probably more than that, but he had about 10 agents there, not with eXp, paid for all their Topgolf. I think he had a sponsor. Are you doing stuff like that consistently? It's great to do lunch and learns, but you also want to have fun with agents and show them that we're having a good time. So that's it. All right. So that was 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 items. Put your number in the box in the chat. How many you got out of those 15? How many can you say that you do? Let's see who's got the highest number here. And one of the common themes, and you probably heard it with this all-in checklist, was and we talked a lot about this during the conference, was events. I mean, you're probably like, why do you 5 or 6 of those things of the 15 were events. Guys, that's when things change. You got to go to events. You got to be there. You got to get your team there. Just staying in your own market, kind of grinding away doesn't work. You got to get out to events. It'll change your life. Skip, look at that. Good job, man. 11. I love it. Patrice, 1. Hey, we'll work on it. This is the first time you're seeing it, but now you know what you can do. This is the coolest thing I thought about this all-in checklist was not only is it a reality check, but it's also a blueprint, right? Now we know what needs to happen. All right, look at that. We can all do better. Kate, you're brand new, but now you're starting with this. I wish that I had this checklist when I first got started. Look at that. Bob, that's right. 5, but you're getting better. Love it, guys. 3, no excuses. That's right, Chris. Love it. Ron, 4, good job. Okay. Adrena, 6. Elise, look at you. 11, I love it. Kendra, 6, good job. What sort of training event are you suggesting? So training event, Bill, would be like, for instance, I'm going to do Facebook ad training, right, for real estate agents. I'm going to do how to build a team for real estate agents. I'm going to do whatever it is that you're good at in real estate, regular real estate sales, give back in that aspect, right? Use whatever your expertise is. Or if you can't do it yourself, maybe you're not even a realtor, or you just joined this, eXp just for this opportunity to build rev share. Maybe you don't know a whole lot. Team up with somebody that does, right? Like find a mortgage lender. I know that, Curtis and I got the idea from our mortgage lender who puts on real estate trainings for real estate agents every single month. And they're great stuff. He's a business builder. It's a different industries in real estate or in mortgage, but a lot of that relates to real estate sales and building our business. So he gives back. He gets 30, 40 agents in his room every single month. And so perfect. You can take any one of the training sessions in Expressway as an outline. Absolutely, Skip. That's a great point. You can, go in there to get some ideas. And that's the thing, guys. You don't have to be original, right? Like, none of this stuff has to be like stuff you made up in your head. Go learn something, like go take a class from somebody else and just copy it, right? Like, but use it in your way. Like, take what they said, their bullet points, remember it, make notes of it, and then go out there and teach it yourself. That's what I do all the time. A lot of this stuff, agent attraction, I didn't create it. I just heard it from somebody else, and then I just, make it my own. All right, here we go. Perfect. What do we got? Another 8, 5. So 11 seems to be the highest. I don't see anything higher than 11. So I'm going to give kudos out to Skip, Elise, and Curtis. My boy, there we go. Look at that. 11's. I love it, guys. All right. Brent's all in checklist. Give yourself. Oh, perfect. Curtis took some notes. I love it. All right. Good stuff, guys. All right. So let's see here. So I don't know too. Let me check.
Hey, Kyle, I got a question. So just kind of looking at that real quick, and this is open to everybody, right? So the goal of this mastermind is to get you, your next agent on your team, whether you've got 100 and you're trying to get 101, or you've got 0 and you're trying to get to number 1. If you were starting at the beginning, right, brand new, trying to go from 0 to 1 or 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 early on in your career, which ones would you start with? Like, I don't think Brent necessarily has them in order per se, or maybe he does, I don't know. So just kind of curious, like if you think these are in sort of sequential order, or where would you start knocking off the checklist? You know what I mean?
I would start with, well, let me see. Let me look through it again. So of course, I think building your list is extremely valuable and important. I think you need to do that right away. Mm-hmm. I had an agent who's on this call actually that we just had that conversation yesterday. And I said, you need to go build your list. So she's working on that. So build your list of 100 names, I think should be first. Do that while it's still going on. I think you need to set up some designated prospecting time. If you don't do it now, it's never going to come, right? You've got to set aside the time to actually prospect those people. And then you've got to put it on the books, whatever the next event is that you're going to be there, right? Like whatever that event is. Like in this case, it's, shareholders. That's, I think, just as important as anything else. Lunch and learns would be kind of next. Once you're prospecting, once you got your list of 100 people, I mean, you basically are at that point. That's what you're prospecting for. Is you're trying to get people to, the lunch and learn, trying to get them to the webinar, trying to get them to the next event, take them with you to shareholders, right? That was a big thing, guys. I mean, Brent talked about, I can't even remember how many people he said that he paid for to come to shareholders. Like, in the past past years, he's probably paid for 100 people, either their hotel rooms, their airfare. You're probably like, man, I don't have money. I'm going to share something with you guys. And I'll tell you, and this was a crazy story. I didn't know this about Brent Gove. I mean, he started tearing up on stage, guys. Like literally when he joined eXp, like we all thought, he's got this, amazing team. And, I think he does hundreds of sales or, 500 sales in California. He was broke. He had no money, guys. Like his team, he was in high debt to the IRS. He owed a lot of money to the IRS, taxes. And so one of the things that he said that, when he joined eXp, now he doesn't share this with anybody most of the time. And I guess maybe, I don't know if I should or not, but we'll see. Don't go out and just do this off of a whim. But the reason he doesn't share this, especially with newbie agents, is he doesn't want them doing this and then coming back and being like, man, it didn't work. But he took a loan out, a small business loan for $100,000 to start up eXp with. He was all in. He knew that, right? But he had no money. He had nothing to invest in it. And so he had to take a loan out for $100,000 to start at eXp. So he had some capital to start working with. Now he says that he doesn't tell people that because he doesn't want the brand new agent to go out there, spend $100,000 and then fail and be like, man, the eXp told me to go spend $100,000, or go take a loan out for that. And now I can't pay it back. So use that in moderation, right? But I mean, that's how all in he knew about this. He was like, I've got to have capital. I've got to invest it now. I've got to work on this thing. And so he went out and he invested in himself. He took the risk, right? And it paid off for him, but he didn't not do something because of because of money or because of time. When he saw that this opportunity was what it is, he did everything for it, right? And that was a powerful story that we all heard. And sure enough, now, I mean, he paid that 100 grand back years ago, like, you know, probably a year and a half ago, right? Like he's been making, you know, close to 100 grand for quite a while, a month. And so, but that was just an interesting story, right? So he pays, you know, for a lot of people to come to shareholders with him. He knows how important those events are. So anyways, thought that was very interesting. But I think that kind of would be my first things. Of course, you know, the Rob Flick wealth chart, you know, you got to do that. That's part of getting your list of 100 names, I think, is, you know, once you get that wealth chart, you know, that's your way to kind of like keep score of, you know, once you're starting to attract and recruit other agents. So, all right, let's see. All right, so guys, what I did here, next thing real quick before I, you know, get out and lose my train of thought, I wanted to share with you guys real quick the screen. I talked about a couple events, and you'll probably want to know how you register for them. So the first one was the Mexico 2020 Freedom Summit. So this is where you go to toptiertravel.com, travel with us. I'm just going to copy this and put it in the deal here. Let's see, I don't even know how you do that. Here we chat. All right. There we go. So everyone's got that. So it's going to look like this, actually. So you might, if you get to this page, you're going to be like, oh crap, it says out of stock. You have to go here where it says, if you've not made a deposit, click here. If you've already made a deposit, you click here. So if you haven't even signed up, you're going to click here. There's 77 seats left now. So there was 150 just this past weekend. So Brent has definitely gotten people to sign up. 77 left, but I don't even know where all the details are. There you go. It's $2,500, right, to go. I think that's, yeah, there we go. I think that's what it is. So $2,500 total. But that includes, what's that, 6 days, 5 nights, beautiful place. I'll let y'all read it. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that, but that's one of the cool events you definitely need to be to. We're going to be literally reserving the entire place. So I thought that was interesting. The other one that we talked about, I'll have to pull up the one for Brent Gove's Freedom or Leadership Conference in Vegas, August 22nd. I'll send that out to people. I don't have the link for that. I think we all know how to sign up for shareholders, right? Shareholders, eXp 2019 Eventbrite. There you go. You come here, Rose and Shingle, June 4th through the 6th. You buy your tickets here. You can go book your hotel room at the Rose and Shingle right here. So make sure you do that, guys. And if you've done it, then make sure you work on getting other people to do it. If you don't have people in your organization, work on friends of yours that are in real estate that, hey, maybe they're not even with eXp, but they're going to come into this and their mind's going to be blown and they're going to want to join. So, all right. So anyways, that's enough on that stuff, on the events, the all-in checklist. The next thing I want to get into is notes, because I mean, we got a lot of nuggets, guys, that they shared, and I want to make sure I get into these. So first off, one of the key themes of this deal this past weekend, let's see here. This book right here, Building an Empire, Brian Carruthers. If you haven't read this book yet, buy it on Amazon today, get it shipped to your house, get the Audible version, whatever you got to do. I was reading it for the second time on the way out there, and I finished it on the way back. So I've read it two times now. It's an amazing book. Everything that we talked about, it all kind of comes back to this. Now, you know, Brian Carruthers, it's funny, he's got ties into real estate, his family does. And so he kind of talks about some of that deal in the beginning. And I think it's important just for you to hear it, because that way when you're out talking to other agents and they don't understand, like, well, you know, y'all are just network marketing or whatever, right? Like he ties it into literally a real estate brokerage and just gives you the words that you need to say to make it understandable about what we're doing, to be able to relay that to the average real estate agent. So I thought that was cool. But then more than that, then he starts telling, you know, how he grows his organization in his business. And so here's a couple of the things that I wrote down. I'll kind of just list through some of them, just to give us some topics, some things to discuss. But one of the things that we talked about was recruiting up, right? So many of us recruit down. We feel like maybe, you know, we're too scared to talk to that agent that's on our level or above us. But one of the quickest ways to grow your organization is to recruit up, or at least recruit horizontally. So they gave the number is, if you look at agents like on a scale of 1 to 10, your scale of 1 to 10, and if you recruit down and you go out and get a 5, well, now that recruit is going to do the same thing as you. They're going to go out and they're going to recruit a 5, which on your scale is a 2.5. right? And that's what happens. We all get here where we got organizations of hundreds of people, and then we wonder why they're not producing or why they're not duplicating, because we never recruited up. You can go out and get 3 people that are up, like AJ Maida, you know, and you're done. Like, I mean, he's not done because he still needs personals, but literally his organization's just blowing up. Versus us, you know, if you go out there and it's like, you know, if you have, you know, agents that, you know, don't do anything, you're going to think that this doesn't work. You're gonna be like, man, I'm recruiting all these people. Like, I mean, he was telling me a story about an agent that's with eXp, and he's a very big social media guy, and he's got a ton of personals. He's been here 6 months. I think he's got like 60 personals, but his organization's like 78 people, because they all know him. They're, you know, he's a big, you know, YouTube person, and he gets a lot of agents that just sign up because they know who he is and, you know, whatnot. But his training is a lot of new training, like new real estate agent training. So he's getting a lot of signups and all that kind of stuff, but he's not getting any big fish. So, I mean, it's all his work. So if you want to move the needle quick, you go out there and you recruit, you know, at least horizontally, if not up. They term the coin, you know, linear income versus leveraged income, right? And just like getting that in our minds that, you know, most real estate agents, they earn linear income versus what we're building here at eXp is called leveraged income. So I thought that was interesting. I think, you know, you just start putting that in your vocabulary. They said it's easier to build fast than it is to build slow. So true, guys. Building slow feels like you're going uphill, dragging a weight behind you. Building fast feels like you're on a roller coaster and you're on the downhill and it's just moving itself going. You know, you don't have to do anything. It's a lot
Kyle,
easier to build.
Can I chime in on that? You know, I'll share like my personal story just a little bit as an anecdote, guys. So my entire revenue share organization has been built in basically 2 spurts, like maybe 3 total, I guess. So back to what you do first on that checklist, you know, for me personally, I don't really see it on there exactly, but, you know, it's probably like your lunch and learns and your Rob Flick videos and all that stuff. The first time I ever started building was when I actually started getting on a mastermind call just like this, right? That's why we host this call, because last year when I got on the Gladiator call for the first time, I got inspired, motivated, you know, fired up. I understood, I learned enough to go out and start making calls and talking to agents. And I built slowly. It was painful from like December through April of last year. But what happened for me in April of last year was I went to shareholders in Las Vegas, and I had dinner and sat around with people that were building amazing organizations at eXp. Literally, I would go back up in the hotel room at night and make phone calls and like send text messages. And I literally remember sort of starting my attraction there. And I can remember going like April, May, June, July. And that was my biggest growth to date. Like I got to maybe like 12 personals or 13 personals or something. And then I went to maybe 15. And then I went to one of those leadership summits in August. I think it was August in Arizona. And I got, you know, I cried. I called my wife like, oh my gosh, babe, we're missing a huge opportunity. I got to go harder. We got to do more. I went back to the hotel room. Mark Lemons and I were like going call for call and just battling each other and like setting up appointments and talking. And my biggest growth came from like August through about November of last year. And then personally, I just slowed down somehow. You know, my all-in checklist probably wasn't an 11 at that point from like December through maybe February or March of this year. And I haven't had a chance to get back to an event, but, you know, I am counting down the days to shareholders this year because I know what it's going to do for me. And I know how it's going to fire me up and just inspire me and challenge me and all that sort of stuff. And so the other thing I really suggest, if you're at all like me and you need sort of that emotional appeal and you need that competitive fire to come on and you need that like inspiration to look at somebody's rev share that's 300 grand a month when they flash it on their cell phone. Like if you need that stuff, then you absolutely must be at the next event. Like that's the first thing I do today. If you were starting is figure out how you can come up with any amount of money and get yourself to Orlando, just because you're right. Like everything's built fast and not slow. That slow grind, you know, you and I have talked about it too. Like when you have months where you only add an agent a month or a couple months and you don't add an agent, like it's a little bit discouraging and it does feel grinding and you're just not as all in. And then when you just go fast and commit and push super hard and in 2 or 3 months you add 4 or 5 people, like you've added this huge momentum to your actual business and you're just really, really invested. You stay all in because you're going fast.
Awesome. Yeah, I love it. I'll tell you too. I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but guys, the other thing about the event, I'll just give you two examples from this one just this past weekend. You know, two people that I met. I got their phone numbers in my phone now. One of them, he just transferred, or he's in the process of rolling his exit franchise into eXp. 300 agents. He's rolling it into eXp. Is that not a powerful contact to have in my phone book in case I'm talking to an exit franchise owner, right? So that's in my phone book. I just also got another guy, Chris Snow. He's not on this call. He's a great guy. He's under AJ Mida now. Just paid close to six. I won't tell you what he paid. Close to six figures to get out of the Century 21 franchise agreement, right? Is that not a powerful person to have in my phone book, right? If I'm talking to a Century 21 person, now I can say, hey, you need to talk to this guy. That's what these events cause too, right? And I've been just stacking on all these people, building relationships with all of them, because you're going to need that, right? Like you need those relationships. And so, anyways, that's the last thing I'll say on the event. So, cool. One of the other things too, and this was at a different event, but this is a story, not about events, but this was something that I heard that's just fired me up, and it's keeping me, kept me driven for probably the last year and a half. Was I was actually sitting at dinner with Pat Hayes and an agent that had been with the company for, I think he was like agent number 70. He was like there was less than 100 agents when he joined. And we asked him, like what his rev share, group looks like now, and how many agents he's got and all that kind of stuff. And he was ashamed. He was like, man, I've got about, 90 agents I think he had or something like that at the time. And he was agent number like 70, right? And I mean, somebody like that, when you're in so early, I mean, he should have thousands of agents, if not at least, hundreds. And what he said though, and it just stuck with me, was he said, man, I thought I had more time. He thought he had more time. He didn't think that it was going to grow this fast. And so that's what I would, say to everybody here, is that we don't have time, right? Like you've got to make a massive movement right away. First 90 days, right? You got to get going hard. If you just joined this company, you got a harder task, right? Like you got to catch up for lost time. It's one of those things like we can say, oh man, I wish that I would have joined 2 years ago. I wished I would have joined sooner. That's not what it's about. We still have a great opportunity. And we're less than 20,000 agents. There's going to be agents when there's 100,000 agents saying, man, I wish that I got in when there was less than 20,000 agents, right? Well, you're those agents right now. And so you got to take advantage of the opportunity you have, but just realize if you wait another year, wait another 2 years before you get serious, you're going to be regretful like that guy. So anyways, all right. What else we got? Building depth for strength and synergy. So this was something that was kind of interesting. So what they, a big theme with the deal too is not only just going out and getting a bunch of personals, but building some legs, right? Like getting some legs under you. And they kind of equated it to like, say you go out and you're just gangbusters on recruiting personals and you're not really helping those agents, grow more, do more. It's almost like you're going to have, say you have 20 of those agents. Now you're spinning 20 plates at the same time of agents that, one, are kind of floundering, that really need your help. They need to be plugged in. They need some success, or else they're going to constantly be churning and leaving. Versus if you build a little bit slower, at least, like not necessarily slower in the sense that you're not doing anything, but you're just like focusing on the agents that you get, and you at least get them started quicker. You're not spinning quite so many plates, because once you have an agent, their first recruit, like you recruit somebody and then you get them to recruit somebody, and they start tasting that revenue share, they're not going anywhere. Like they feel success. And so you're not spinning that plate any longer. Plus you've given them kind of a blueprint. You've set the foundation for them to go out and start doing it themselves. But if you're just going out there and recruiting agents left and right and then not supporting them, you're just going to constantly be spinning all these plates that feels like, man, it's just another job, right? Like, people leaving, I got to replace them. They're not having success, so they're complaining to me all the time. And so that was something that I thought was interesting. And they actually even had, here was the quote that they said, a recruit is not a recruit until they've recruited someone. And what I took from that was, we too often, we think once we get that agent and they're here with the company now, we almost, like, we're not done with them. Like we want to support them and help them, but we almost check the box. Like, all right, perfect. That person hit our dashboard. Like, let's move on to the next person, and then just support the organization in general. Whereas the mindset that you should have is that they're literally not even recruited. They're not even in your organization until you've gotten them somebody, right? They've gotten them, you've helped them, whatever it takes, right? I mean, they've said you got to go as far as, if they're not willing to make those calls, you get their list of 10 people and you make those calls for them. You get them their first person. It's your responsibility to do that, right? You get them a taste for it. You recruit through people and you're going to be much more successful. What's easier to do? Go out there and talk to 10 random people, or at least get a list of 10 people that person thinks that is influential, whatever it might be, that are having some success in real estate. And you've at least got some, pillar of trust there, is some common bond with that person that you're reaching out to. So you can make the calls. All they've got to do, and they've actually given us a script of all that agent needs to do, to send a text to that person to let them know a phone call is going to be coming from you and they need to answer it. So I'll go over that here in a little bit, but I thought that was interesting. A recruit is not a recruit until they've recruited somebody. You need to get them to recruit fast.
Kyle.
Tony?
Yeah, I was going to say, man, it's so true, man. Because I mean, I have a lot of personals, and what I was going to say in addition to that, just reiterating what you said, for sure. I mean, it's so important to, reach out to your team and help them out. But also, if you are a newer agent and you haven't recruited, reach out to whoever brought you in and let them know, because obviously we get busy and, we reach out, but when you're ready, man, call your sponsor and they are going to be willing to help you. And if they're maybe not qualified because they're new or they're not as experienced, keep going up until you get to somebody, because somebody's going to be willing to help you make those calls. It's one of those things where we are here to help you, but you got to let us know that you want that help. And then we can, definitely help you with the calls and help you to grow, make sure you're plugged into things. Sometimes it can get overwhelming. You're right, Kyle. I mean, you put in a lot of people. I mean, I have over 47, I think it is actually, people that are active, in the system personally. So, Kendra and I, we work together on that. But man, we'll reach out to your sponsor and your up, we don't call it upline, but whoever's above you.
Yeah.
So it's super important, because, we need to know that you want that help. And, but if you do have a group, keep reaching out, send out an occasional text, send out a message, or pick up the call. Maybe when you're driving somewhere, just a quick 2-minute call. Hey, just thinking about you. And, if you're interested in recruiting or attracting agents, give me a call and I'll help you with that. And, I'll jump on that other point about building fast. It's so true, because, no one can maintain super fast all the time. When I look at 2.5 years in the business attracting agents, I know that my fastest growth, just like you and Curtis have mentioned, it happened when I was putting in the most activity in a condensed period of time. I actually heard something not too long ago that really, clarified or, backed that up. In business in general, if you look at anyone in any business that's achieved a high level, like multi-millionaire or billionaire status, they actually built whatever that was they had a condensed short period of time where they put massive action where might not have been, they've been working 7 days a week, 18 hours a day during a certain period of time. And if you read about those entrepreneurs, that's what they did to then build something that then lasted them forever. Obviously they had continued efforts after that, but it was a condensed time that they really put it in. And you look at a Brent Gove, who's a shining example of eXp. He's put in a lot of effort really fast, and he's got a 6-figure a month income, right? So, we can all do it. Don't look at it like, oh my God, I got to do this forever. Look at it, go, let me go the next 30 days hard or 90 days hard or whatever. Pick a time frame and then just focus, and then everything else, put out the distractions. But like Brent said, it's actually 3 hours a week really is all it'll take. But you got to focus on that. If it's 3 hours, 6 hours, whatever, put it in and get a plan with your sponsor, your people, whoever's above you to help your leader that's in your group to help you with that. But definitely awesome stuff there, man. And I definitely can just back all that up. It's so true.
I love it. Thanks. Appreciate that, Tony. Awesome. So, one of the other cool things I thought that was interesting, they had a chart. I wish I had the chart. Maybe I'll try and get it from the person that was running those slides. But they talked about the power of one more, right? And if you're probably sitting there like, what is the power of one more? Power of one more basically just says, if you can get each of your agents one more agent a year, they showed the difference that makes just in a 3 to 5 year window. And it was like astonishing. It was like thousands of agents difference if you just get each agent in your organization one extra agent a year. I mean, it's just night and day, right? So again, that kind of goes into the fact that you got to be helping your organization, right? Everything you do to help that organization, it will pay dividends, I promise you. So, and you're thinking like, and maybe you're thinking like, why, I don't know all this stuff that or, I haven't been here quite as long. Well, then your job is just get them plugged into this, right? If they're not coming to these things, like that could be the way that you get them one more person, right? If they're not showing up to stuff like this, these, weekly calls, if they're not showing up to your lunch and learns, if they're not showing up to the events, your job as their sponsor, or maybe, they're 2-3 levels down from you, is to get them to come to these. You don't have to be the person that teaches, but just hold them accountable and get them to these things. And you yourself need to be, the leader and come into these things as well. So that way you lead by example. So,
hey, Kyle, can I add a thought around the one more idea, and just to encourage everybody on this call too? Like, imagine the agents that you have recruited that could also use one more sale, like their first sale or their next sale, and for a lot of us who have a good amount of personals, that's also a very real impact on our revenue share overall because of the FLQA versus FLA stuff. So, if that doesn't impact you yet, it will. What it means is that for every agent that you sponsor into the company, they only count for unlocking your revenue share levels if they're productive. If they sell, I think it's 5,000 in GCI within a 6-month period, or 2 deals within a 6-month period. And so if they're not agent attracting yet, or they're just not interested, it's just not even on their radar, try to make sure you help them get that other deal too. And so like, if you're on this call and you want another sale, please come to that Monday sales call. Please use the eXp stuff and encourage them to do that at a minimum. Because another thing I think, and this was in Carruthers' book as well, I don't know if they talked about it much, but a lot of times when you do attract those newer agents, or you do recruit down, accidentally or deliberately, like the other thing that you need to help create is you need to extend runway for that agent to stay at the company long enough to experience success, to fall in love with the brokerage, or to, attract their first personal, or whatever it may be. So just, I literally have my board. It's funny, like we're talking about this, Kyle. I wrote down on my board a list of people who need their first personal or their next personal in my organization that I want to like help them get that. And then I wrote down a list of people in my organization who need their next closing because they don't have one, or they haven't had one in 6 months or whatever. So I want to help them get that too, as much as I can. So just wanted to share that idea of one more. And imagine like for us, if one more agent per year, if an agent did one more deal per year, and you have 10 agents, like that's an extra $2,000 a year that for you in your revenue share. So that one more, I think, is really powerful. That's a good nugget.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. Here, one thing too, guys, while I'm thinking about it, if you're on this call and you don't know who your 7 sponsors are above you, as Tony said, like in your upline, we don't like to call it that, but if you don't know the 7 people above you that can help you, like literally you don't have their names, phone numbers, and email addresses for you to access them, that's your homework this week. Go find out who your 7 people above you are, right? Ask your sponsor. If they don't know, then go to eXp World. I'm sure you can probably find out, right? But somehow do some digging, ask people around, but you got to find out who is in your upline, all 7 levels. Have them all listed out, names, numbers, emails. Do that immediately if you don't already have that. All right, cool. Talked about making a fire in the basement. I thought this was extremely interesting. I hadn't really thought about this, but it's so true. So what this means is basically if you help somebody deep in your organization, maybe they're on your 4th or 5th level. Right now, we all kind of think like, man, like, I want to help my first 2 levels or first 3 levels or whatever. And typically that's traditionally how you do want to spend most of your time, right? You want to help the people, as close to you as possible. Especially as your time is valuable. You can only help so many people per day. It's not that you don't want to help everybody, but you've got to focus on the ones that are close to you if you can. But what they did say is you don't want to completely ignore it, because like Brent put a good point out here. He was like, I help people on my 8th level, my 9th level that I'll never get paid on. You know why I do that? He said, because if I help somebody on my 8th level to put a big builder in at that spot, everybody on my 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st that benefit from that person are all motivated. He said they're all fired up to know that they've got a builder on their 3rd leg, or on their 3rd level, or on their 4th level, right? And I never thought about that, right? You're helping the people get more bought in below that person that they're bringing in. It's called building a fire in the basement. So if you do that, you start that going, you're going to motivate all those people. You're going to get them all bought in, especially like, say, for instance, you got a big builder on your 4th level and you only have 3 levels unlocked. How motivated are you going to open up that 4th and 5th level, right? Like that's what's going to get you fired up to go do it. You know, you imagine Brent Gove all of a sudden gets put in on your 4th level. You know, you got life-changing income at your disposal. All you got to go do is recruit some more personals. Are you going to go do it? Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Recruit to invite. Don't invite to recruit. So this was something that was completely backwards. I didn't even think about this. I still don't know what I think about it. Like it's like completely different. But basically what we all do is we know an event's coming up and we wait till that event, like to recruit somebody, like, or to invite them to the event. So we have the opportunity to recruit that person. So like, you know, our lunch and learns every, you know, Friday, we invite people to those because we want to try and recruit them on Friday. But what if you could get them to join on Tuesday, right? And you get them to come to our webinar Tuesday night, and they join Tuesday, and then you can tap into that person and you get 3 or 4 people on Friday, right, to the lunch and learn. That's as a small example, but you know, use that for like an event, right? You know, you want to invite the people that you've recruited to those, you know, to shareholders or whatever. But what if you could recruit somebody, you know, this week and tap into their sphere and get those people to the events? Then instead of getting 1 person there, you get 5 people there, right? So that's kind of what he said, you know, recruit to invite, don't invite to recruit. So, you know, don't put off recruiting that's several days away, recruiting early so that agents or so that recruits can bring their list to whatever the event is. So I just thought that was interesting. Urgency and fear of loss. So the number one reason why someone doesn't build a large organization is because they don't have a sense of urgency about the opportunity. We already kind of talked about this, right? The agent that said, oh, I thought I had more time. It's the number one reason why agents don't build an organization faster, is they think that they have more time. There's no sense of urgency. One of the things too, and this is on a agent level, like a recruiting level, and I don't know if this is, you know, true all across the board or what, but they said the odds drop 10% per day, every day that prospect doesn't sign up and take advantage of the opportunity that you've just told them or presented to them. So if you wait, we all know that, like we all been there, right? Like people say, oh yeah, I'll sign up, but then they don't. And then we all are confused about, you know, a week later, 2 weeks later, when they're still not with the company. The odds drop once that emotion falls and they're not signing up. And so somehow you've got to create a sense of urgency or a sense of fear of loss. So they talked a little bit about this, and they talked about dangling the carrot, right? Like what, you know, you got to always in your mind, like what's the opportunity that they're going to miss out on, right? Like what's the next event that they have the potential to join or come to or bring people to? What's, you know, going on in your market that people can take advantage of? Is there a great training coming up? Like you've got to think of like what it is that, you know, the reason why people are going to join right now. Are they an icon agent? You know, talk about the stock price, man. You know, I wish that I would have joined even a month earlier, you know, because that would have been icon agent a month earlier, and the stock would have been half what it was when I hit icon agent, right? You have stories queued up and ready to go about what they're going to miss out on if they wait, you know, a day, a week, a month, or whatever it is. So make sure that you do have something like that. Now it's not pushy. You kind of want to do it, you know, under the radar, like where you're not like forcing them to think that you're trying to sell them to join right away, but be like nonchalant about it, like where you kind of like let them know that there's a reason why they need to join early. And that's with, you know, and that's kind of goes to the next thing that they talked about, always have a next engagement. Like, you know, whatever it is, don't just say, all right, cool, what'd you think? And like, you know, leave it at that. Like, I mean, whatever way you end it, make sure there's a next step that you have for them. All right, so you're going to come with me on Friday to the lunch and learn. All right, lunch and learn ends. All right, so we are going to do this next. We're going to go to this thing next, or we're going to sign up your application together on Saturday. Like there's always a next engagement. You don't ever just leave it hanging. They got to know what the next thing in the process is. You know, even if they're thinking about it, maybe they're not ready to commit or join right away. It's all right, well, cool. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you the video so you can kind of, you know, stew on it, think about it, but I'm going to reach out to you in, you know, 5 days, and we're going to reconvene, kind of talk about this or that, right? Just don't leave it hanging. Have some next engagement always. Welcome calls. We talked about welcome calls and how important those are with your organization and with your team. And when an agent joins your organization, whether it's your personally sponsored agent or somebody in your organization, if you have less than, they were saying about 250 to 300 people in your organization, you should be calling every single agent that joined your organization. The details are in your enterprise dashboard. And they said, if you have less than 250 to 300 people that are in your organization, that means that you're probably having less than 20 to 30 people that are joining a month. You need to call every single person that's in your organization and welcome them to the team, let them know a little bit about what to do, all that kind of stuff. So make sure you're doing that, send them welcome calls, and then let that person know, hey, you want to help them succeed. Tell them to build their list. Tell them if you need to be on phone calls, 3-way calls with them right away. You got to get them building fast, get them excited, make them feel a part of a team. All right. Talked about being a fisherman and not a hunter. God, I swear these are like the most notes I've ever taken in my life. Curtis is probably like, whoa, what are you doing, Kyle?
We're on number 14, dude. This is a lot of notes.
All right. Be a fisherman, not a hunter. All right. So what they talked about was, a hunter, you go out there and you're searching for people, right? You're going out there and like trying to, find it. And then you get that person, right? You get the kill, you get them, right? That's not what we want to be as agent attractors. We want to be fishermen. We want to set the lure, right? Like we want to find the right, bait or whatever it is. I don't know about anything about fishing, so if I'm using the wrong terms, but you want to get the right bait, get the right lure, right? Have all the stuff. And then sometimes, this was kind of a cool thing, when you get the fish on the hook, sometimes you can just reel it in right away. Other times you got to let out a little bit of drag and let that fish kind of go a little ways, right? And then you can reel them back in. So y'all are probably, I see people laughing. It's probably because I'm like the worst at fishing. So I have no idea if I'm saying the right thing, but that was, and it made a lot of sense to me. And I was like, God, that's what we got to think of, right? Like we're fishermen. And then the key is you got to have multiple lines in the water at any given time. You don't just fish with one line, right? And hope that you're going to catch a fish on it. You're going to catch a lot more if you have multiple lines in there. So we're not hunters. We're not going out there and trying to shoot and kill somebody, right? Like you're literally, baiting the hook and getting them. So,
and just to keep going with that visual analogy, Kyle, imagine trying to hunt multiple things at one time. Like how the hell would you shoot 2 directions or 4 directions or something behind you or different game, right? Like that fish analogy is pretty cool. That resonates a lot with me. I don't know anything about fishing either, but I can picture exactly what you're saying. And man, just for me personally, that was a big shift I made, I think mentally probably in February when I was at the Houston event. Was someone told me a story of when and why they joined eXp. And it was because they had been watching somebody else at eXp online for a year. And the guy was like, yeah, that's why I joined. It was just watching online. Talk about the bait and the lure and whatever the other fishing things are. The net. There you go, Bill. Thank you. The net. That makes more sense to me because I don't know anything about lines or lures or hooks either. But a net sounds really good. You put a net out there, and I think for everybody on this call, there's only a couple ways to put that net out there. You put it online or you put it out in real life. If you're not out all the time at events and stuff, with your net open, then you better be doing it online. I think there's the only 2 places to sort of do it.
I'll tell you, in my mind, when somebody says, having a net out there, what that means in my head is you have to build a brand, right? Yeah. A brand is your net, right? If you want to really create a net, or if you want to create lots of lines up there, lots and lots, that's your brand, guys. You've got to have a brand. And so I'll just say that right now, that is your net.
Hey, Kyle, you know what? When you're saying that, you're talking about branding and putting yourself out there in the net. I think there's a lot of missed opportunity, especially now with eXp. The word is getting out there, and when you talk about branding yourself, I see you have your hat on. You should always have something with eXp on it wherever you go. Certainly you should be, if you're doing any posting at all, with real estate, you should have hashtagging eXp. Branding your site should have eXp on it, something, because if people know you're there, they're watching and they hear about it. And if they like what you're posting, then you might be the person they reach out to. You're not going to get everyone, but someone's going to like your post, and they're going to reach out to someone that they like. We deal with people we like when they could sign up with anybody, right? So you want to definitely be branding yourself all the time. Always wear eXp, carry a bag, do something, wear your badge, because, you got to let people know we're out there. You don't want to be a secret agent. And people are definitely curious. And, sometimes they won't respond to someone that's calling to recruit them because they don't want that pressure, but they might reach out to you if they have a relationship with you, or they might have run across you or whatever. So,
yep. Yeah. And one thing I'll say about that, guys, because you can take it to the extreme. So let me just say too, we actually did talk about this. We talked about being a promoter, and people who are good promoters, they are going to succeed in this business, in the eXp Realty business. You've got to be a great promoter. Right. What's the guy from the boxing? Is his name Don King? Right. If he was an eXp, he would be like Brent Gove. Right. So Brent Gove is the Don King of boxing of eXp. And so, but you've got to be a great promoter. But here's what I'll say to that, because you can almost take it to the wrong end of that, right? Where all you're doing is promoting, right? Like, we do want to promote. Absolutely. Like, I want to promote more than anybody else. But here's the way that I look at it. You have to earn the right to promote. Like, it's, we talked about this before, Gary Vaynerchuk's book, jab, 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 right hook, right? You've got to put some jabs out there, some value. You're adding some stuff to them, and then you can promote, right? So if you want to promote more than anybody, you've got to provide more value than anybody. Okay. So like, if that's, so if you want to promote, you definitely can earn the right to promote a lot, but that just means you got to be out there also providing more value than anybody. Because I don't like to put, an eXp promotional post unless I have about 4 other posts that don't involve eXp. Does that mean that I don't put anything up about eXp? No, it just means that I put out a lot more other stuff too. And so, I think you got to start thinking in those terms, that we've got to be great promoters, but you can't be only promoting. You got to also be doing other stuff that provides value for the people you're trying to promote to. So yeah, extremely important, guys. Cool. Local sponsor. They talked about this because a lot of us, we're recruiting outside of our local markets. And this was just like an objection that somebody brought up. And I thought it was interesting the way that it was answered. Was they said, why would I join you? You're not in my local market. And so some of us have probably heard that. And they said one of the responses was, well, you don't want me to be local, because if that were the case, you would never be able to grow your business outside your local market. Wouldn't you agree that we're trying to build something that doesn't just consist of our market? Wouldn't you like to learn how you can go outside your market? So if that were the case and I needed to be local to you, then this whole thing breaks down. This doesn't matter. None of this makes sense. And so what I'll show you is how to build nationally, like what I'm doing, so that my team can duplicate and your team can duplicate. I thought that was a great response to that answer. So it was a great way to overcome that objection. All right, the last thing I got as my note was the text that you can tell your agents that maybe don't want to make the calls or don't know how to make the calls necessarily right away to their prospects, but what the text that you can have them send, so that way you have the opportunity to make a call to the people on their list. Super simple. Hi, John. A gentleman, a gentlewoman, or a lady, whatever, named so-and-so is going to be calling you today about something important and private. Be sure to take his call. We'll talk later. As easy as it is. That's so simple, right? That's all you got to say. Some people are gonna be like, man, that's intimidating. That sounds a little like I can't. You can do it. I guarantee you can do it. I remember the first time I was actually sitting with Jim Olivito. He's an agent of mine up in Washington. This was probably 2-3 months ago. And we've all heard, like, all you need to do is make a phone call with somebody and then, tell them to jump on, the video and mute yourself until they're done watching that video, and then answer their questions. And I've always thought to myself, like, man, I could never do that. I don't know that, like, I could just call somebody up and like expect that they're going to have 30 minutes time to sit there and watch it. Like, right when I call them, I would never do that. But he sat there and he literally did that. He called an agent, said, hey, are you free for the next 30 minutes? And that agent said, well, yeah, I've got this at 1 o'clock or whatever. Now, Jim's a nice old man, so I don't know. He's had a relationship with this person. So, but anyways, he just called, said, all right, well, I'm going to send you a link right now to this video. I'm going to mute myself and I'm going to have you watch it. And then, we'll talk afterwards. I'll answer your questions. I've got Kyle here, and I was sitting with him. He sent it and literally muted himself, you could hear the guy playing the video in the background, the one that he had called, and me and Jim sat there and ate lunch, and then picked up the phone 30 minutes after. It was one of those things like, man, like I thought that would have been impossible. I would never done it myself personally, but then he did it, and I was like, that was easy. Like, now will that work on everybody? No, but if you do that a lot of times, you get in the habit of doing it and get in the habit of getting outside your comfort zone, you're going to do just fine, right? Like that's the one thing. All right, Bill, see ya. Yeah, here, I'll say that script one more time. It said, hi, John, a gentleman named so-and-so is going to be calling you today about something important and private. Be sure to take his call. We'll talk later, right? Like that's all you got to say, right? And so, yeah, that was interesting. So I was like, man, that's a little like out there, but hey, I'm going to try it. Like, why not? Right. And then I got to go get Pat Hayes teed up. Hey man, are you able to start making some phone calls for me if I start sending out these text messages? Like get somebody teed up to do that. So that's why, again, have the 7 people above you, ready to go and knowing about it. Now I'll end it on this. I didn't even take this as a note. This is just something that stuck in my head. The only risk that you have building eXp, it's not a financial risk. It's not like a time risk. You're not risking your family. You're not risking anything like that. The only risk that you have building eXp, and this is what stops a lot of people from building eXp, it's an ego risk. It's an ego risk, right? We're afraid to risk our ego, right? Like that somebody's going to tell us no, that they're going to think differently of us, right? We got to think differently. We can't be scared to risk our ego. Brent Gove, he said, man, I had no ego. I called people said, you're crazy. People said way worse things than that. People said, you're selling out. I mean, just anything that they could say to him. He said, I did not care. I did not care. I just kept doing it. So that's the only risk, guys. There's nothing else. I mean, we can all do this. It's all possible for every single one of us, but are you willing to risk your ego? Are you willing to risk what, people think about you? So thought that was interesting. Cool. All right. Well, that sums it up, man. That wraps it up, and we got done just in the nick of time too. So, Curtis, I don't know if you wanted to wrap it, or if you got notes that you were going to send out to people, or what you want to do, but
we've got a lot of notes. The biggest thing I got from this was I was curious, like, who on this call needs someone on their team to make calls for them, because that's a cool offer. Like, to me, I haven't made that offer. So if you're on my team or around, or you need help, doesn't have to be my team, I'm glad to make calls for you. It's good practice. It keeps us sharp. I think that's a cool offer. So I'm going to start offering that. I really, really like that. A lot of other great notes, man.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can have them jump on too. Do a 3-way, like call them first and then call their person, have them mute themselves just so they can hear what you say to the person. Because sometimes they might be like, I'll have you call my people, but what are you going to say? Like, how's it going to go? Mm-hmm. Right? Like, have them mute themselves and just listen, right? And then just tell them how the call went afterwards.
I'm going to try and get the best practices into the chat here real quick. So if anybody wants it, you can stick around for a minute and grab it from the chat. I'm put it in about 5 at a time here because there's a lot and the chat doesn't hold a lot. But,
awesome. Well, who got some value out of today, guys? What did y'all think? What was your takeaways?
A lot of value.
Awesome stuff, man. Great call, man. This is so valuable, man. I just encourage everybody to get on here because, every week you're going to get some nugget, and you got to just pull something out to get you through the next week. And, I think another big thing is just belief, guys. Today's the 21st, so that check comes out tomorrow. And I'll have to just tell you, my check's the biggest one I've gotten that I'll be getting tomorrow. And that really raises belief, and it's funny. A couple of my agents recently said, hey, how's your rev share? What is it looking like? And I just sent them a screenshot and they were like, holy cow. Yeah, I'm not at the 100,000, 50,000, but you know what? To make almost 11, it was $10,900 for the month. I don't know about you, but that's a lot of money that I did. People grind to make that kind of money. And that's just from conversations I've had over 1 to 2 hours a week over the last 2 years to make 11 grand in a month. And not have to do a thing. I didn't sign a contract. I didn't go to a closing for that money. So, guys, that to me, I raised my own belief by looking at my back office or, my enterprise. So just understand we are changing lives. So don't look at it as you're calling to recruit someone. Don't look at it like that. Look at it like you're sharing an opportunity to change another real estate agent's life. And I think because we get, there's that possibility the agent will cuss you out or be a total jerk. so what? That person is miserable. Anyone that's going to be that nasty to you, feel sorry for them because their life is miserable. I mean, it's about how we approach it in your mindset, man. It's like, I look at it, man, glad I'm not you, because why would you cuss somebody out or be nasty to someone because they're sharing an opportunity? You know what I mean? So just disregard those people, man. Get energy from it, because their next person's gonna be like, oh my God, you could change their life. I mean, they get sick and get hurt, and now they have a passive income that's gonna carry them through it so they don't go into foreclosure or go ruin their credit. I mean, that's powerful, guys. So, man, have the belief that what we have, nobody has this in the entire industry. So anytime you're pioneering something and you're disrupting, you're going to come across that aspect of it, but don't let that stop you. I know that's what stops a lot of people, because there were times when it stopped me. And it's like, that's the only reason you're not making the calls. You're afraid of that negative response. Who cares? You know, because you're going to get a positive response and someone's going to be thanking you for the rest of their life. Thank you, thank you, thank you for showing me this opportunity when you did, and not 2 years later when it's, you know, when it's getting more saturated, right? So I just wanted to put that out there, man, because I'm fired up, and I mean, I just can't believe every time I look at them, like, this is so cool, you know?
Yeah. You want to hear it? You want to hear it? Oh, hey, you want to hear a crazy stat that was shared? I just thought of this at the conference. 50% of bankruptcies in the U.S. wouldn't take place if the person had $500 a month in residual income. 50% of bankruptcies around the U.S. wouldn't take place if the person had $500 in residual income. How powerful is that to think about, guys? We all think like, oh, I want to make 10 grand. I want to make 5 grand. Dude, $500 a month. If somebody just had that, 50% of the bankruptcies wouldn't exist in the U.S. Crazy. So anyways, just thought that was interesting. Share that with somebody. All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap the call. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Tonight, invite, guys. We've got our Tuesday executive overview tonight at 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. Me, Curtis Dixon. I think we're going to get Pat Hayes on for this one. Tony, we got to start getting you on some of these Tuesday executives, man. I'd love to hear how you present. And so we'll reach out, but get people to join tonight, guys. TuesdayExecutiveOverview.com. Be sure that you're there, and be sure that you've invited somebody. Bring people, bring your agents, right, that are already with eXp. It doesn't matter. This isn't just like a recruiting thing. Like, we go over a lot of stuff that people need to hear. You got to hear it over and over and over again. Get it embedded in your brain. So make sure you're always showing up to these. Tuesday, 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. Runs about an hour. You can leave after the presentation, or you can leave whenever you want. But you know, it ends after an hour, and then we do another 30 minutes about Q&A. So we just answer people's questions about eXp.
Hey,
so
Kyle.
A lot of nuggets then too. Yeah.
So one of the things in the Brent Gove all-in checklist was movie nights with the Rob Flick video and the lunch and learns, right? So if you don't have a lunch and learn in your market, and you're not doing movie nights with the Rob Flick video yet, just come to these Tuesdays, but invite somebody else to watch it with you. Your husband, your wife, a team, your agent, a friend, whatever, a lender, a title person. Just get in the habit of doing the things on the checklist so that you can be used to doing that, so that you'll build up that confidence. Because the people who come to the lunch and learns in markets every single week, they learn, like Kyle said, so much more about the business, so much more about the brokerage. And like Tony said, just deepens their belief, because you hear stories. Like, if you guys haven't heard what Pat Hayes' revenue share was at lately, come to tonight just so you can hear it, just so you can hear what you heard from Tony, but you hear it from somebody else on the team. And that's a good way to start.
Awesome. Yeah, real quick, I got a question there about the Rob Flick video. I've got it on my YouTube channel. Let me pull it up. I'll share the link here.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I had said we'd link to it. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Let's see.
The long Rob Flick video does wealth chart and lots of stuff, right? That's the 90-minute one?
Yep. Let's see. Here we go.
It's also in that Brent Gove Resources website.
Oh, is it? The long Rob Flick video? Okay.
I'm pretty sure it is.
I got that one pulled up, then I can grab it.
There we go.
90-minute Rob Flick video.
Does that work? Yep, perfect. That's the newest one, the one that I got there. So I think this one was like done end of October of 18. So that was the newest one that I've got. If anyone's got any newer than that, then let me know. But I think that's the last time he did it. So cool. All right, guys. Well, again, thanks for coming. Hopefully we'll see you tonight. Make sure to register. TuesdayExecutiveOverview.com. It's not like this call where you can just go there and log in. You got to register first, put your name, your email. that info only comes to myself. It goes to Scott, but I mean, I'll be honest, he doesn't do anything with it. So it's not like, that information goes anywhere. So it's just so that way they can register. They sends a link to that email address with how that person joins at 5 o'clock. So make sure you're doing it yourself. Make sure you're getting somebody there, and we'll see you guys next week or tonight, if not sooner. Talk to you later.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Appreciate you guys.